Testing. 1, 2, 3. Hi. This is one of my looks from my most recent collection, which was Grounded for Eyelet Creative's Trash and Show. This was worn by the amazing Beck. This is a two-piece look. There's actually a third garment in the look itself, but I consider this like one grouped piece. And the Trash and Show was all about sustainability. This is a secondhand dress from a friend of mine that was actually all one piece. I divided it into two, and I added this whole panel here of the secondary material. This was cut out of the back of a shirt that I got from Goodwill. There is a black bow tying this together in the back. That is all a ribbon that I already had. It's been lying around my house for probably years. I'm really proud of this because it came out very clean. I did have to do a lot of adjustment on the waist, on like this curve, princess seams. I think repositioning the strap here a little bit, and it came out way better than I thought it was going to, frankly. It also is a wrap skirt. So right here, those aren't connected. You can kind of resize this so that if someone else was to ever wear this, they would be able to. It's got this bow. This is just on a safety pin, actually, so that it's removable. For the show, I had this actually pinned on like right under here. This was big on sustainability, on the everyday wearableness of sustainable fashion, the way that you can give pieces new life in not just like resizing it, but in truly like transforming a garment. It was something that I wanted to really be like, yeah, these are pieces that I made that I can just wear out. Test, test, test. This is the meat dress from my second collection. So I was at UW for Neomorphosis 2024. And it's called that because this collection was about the human body and the layers of the human body. Robert Woon released a collection with the same theme like 3 months later, and he did it better. But I did it first, I guess. He definitely copied me. I modeled this. It is based on a pattern that I did buy, but then I altered it to my measurements. It has this open, low back kind of. Actually, it could be lower, but it's this more open back shape in the back, and it is covered with freehand crochet. This is the first like real crochet I've ever done outside of just a straight chain stitch. So it was definitely adventure putting this together and then trying to figure out how to pin it on. Definitely just like sewn it on in a lot of the places, but I have worn this out several times, and it actually has held up really, really well, which I'm proud of. You can see it's got this leg slit here, and it came with, for the presentation, this beautiful chainmail collar here. So I did need to keep this space open for the initial making of that. The overall theme of the collection, Layers of the Human Body, this was about meat and like viscerality. So the idea is that this mimics the feeling of skin. You have the veins here and this really bright red. It's like what layers are on the outside versus the inside. I also had these like crazy like long opera gloves with like backward nails that were like really long, like claws. That was really fun. I usually like to do something on the back of a lot of my looks just because I don't think that the front's the only part that's interesting. And so for this one, there wasn't a ton, but I did just have this like really open space because I know that you can still see like enough of my spine that I thought the way that I was going to be posing was going to expose a lot of that. The zipper did not look this nice initially. I did go back and actually redo this so that it would be nice and invisible, and it has like a proper little clip at the top so that I can do this up myself. Can y'all peasants hear me? This is my ball gown. I made a hoop skirt from scratch. I just don't have it because my friend borrowed it for their costume. This is a fully sized ball gown that fits over it down to the floor. And this is a bodice that I did pattern. I followed a like an 1850s reproduction. I think this is the most intensely historical garment that I've ever made. Actually, all of this material is thrifted. This beautiful white right here is a tablecloth. Then you can see the trim right here is the same as was used on the bodice. Like both of these were curtains, the blue and the brown. And I had to make an entire Excel spreadsheet to figure out how to maximize all of this fabric because I had to figure out the length of the drape, like how far I had to get down to the floor. I had to do a lot of math. There's so much more math in sewing than you think there is. I will say both the brown and the blue are kind of terrible to work with because they're really slippery and they fray a lot. But yeah, this is where everything came out. And what you can't see is I actually removed the waistband on this because my first go around, I didn't add any interfacing. And so it was just really stretchy and struggled to hold up. And that was with, this is supposed to be worn with undergarments. I do have a corset that I made based on the Juliet Corset from Period Corsets, who's a local business. They're located in Green Lake. Super cool. Highly recommend checking them out. So yeah, I have like a reproduction corset that I was wearing under this. This goes on top. This is a fully boned bodice. I actually emailed them, the people who made the pattern, and was like, do I have to bone this? And they were like, yes, girl, you have to bone this. And the lining is denim. It's like jeans material because they said thick cotton. And this is the only thick cotton that I had on hand. And I really didn't want to buy anything. And so, yeah, the inside of my historical reproduction is made of jeans.
Yeah. What up, squad? So this is a garment I made most recently as a part of one of my most recent collections titled Potik, which means to decorate cloth in Pangasinan, which is where my family is originally from, my Filipino side of my family. The show, for context, was Sockpuppet. It was an individual show that I did with a couple friends of mine and talked about in the interview. And one of the big things that we were doing was like hitting on big points of identity. I was like a wide-eyed, curious kid who was going out and exploring the world. But then, like, as soon as I started giving away parts of myself, I started kind of losing a sense of myself and going down the wrong direction. And so this look is me after that has happened. And it's more me on the recovering side. I'm trying to learn how to exist physically again. And I'm also trying to learn how to exist mentally again. So the reason why it's shaped the way that it is because it has these big cutouts to kind of resemble like that there is still healing that needs to be done. It's made of this like red fabric that I found at Goodwill and dyed. And all of my collection was pretty much made from this fabric. There was this like paper bit that ended up getting dyed that I was like, I'm totally putting that on. This is the color of the original fabric, this underside, the darker red, and this is the backside of that original fabric that I chose to feature in the front. So it's like 3 or 4 different layers of fabric here. At the end of the day, I wanted it to be really distressed. I wanted it to look red and kind of a little gory. It kind of drapes very loosely, so I had it kind of tied as like with a pocket belt kind of thing so that it made it a little bit more structured. When I was first starting out, it was like really difficult and I was like really frustrated because the first cut that I made, I was like, well, I just made a terrible cut on my final fabric, but I ended up becoming more proud of the idea of making it heavier and then like layering it and then making it something that like had a lot of depth to it. It's got this lining on the inside too, and the zipper's exposed because I wanted it to be. I think it looks more dramatic that way. It's made of a really cool fabric my partner gave me. Yeah. This is the piece that started my most recent collection. Well, not started, it actually ended, but this was the piece I started with because I was the most passionate about it. And this is supposed to represent the authentic self. I knew I wanted to use this fabric from the very beginning, but this fabric is a really, really special Boro flannel fabric that is probably over 100 years old. I found it in Japan when I was on my trip from China to Japan. And there was like a antique flea, and I was like, this is the place to look for Boro fabric. And I found this. There's this fabric, but there's another fabric that I have that's very similar to it that the skirt is made out of for the rest of this look. And it is so beautiful. The distressing on it is all natural. This repairing on it is all natural as well. There's a huge blowout in the back that you'll see. And the lining is just like something I thrifted from Goodwill, but I'm really happy with the way that this shape turned out as well. I really wanted it to drape off the shoulders, and I created these pleats here so that it would have this kind of like off-center, like middle down the line look, and it would still feel kind of drapey. I'm really happy with this piece. It was the first one, like I said, that I started with, and it's one that I'm probably one of the ones I'm most proud of today because it just is such a beautiful memento to the authentic self.
Yes. Wait, 100 years old?
Probably.
Wow.
These are my last pieces, plural. I made these pants and I made this jacket for 2 separate occasions. The pants was for Mesh's first Expo, and we were doing the theme of time. And so these pants are inspired by 1920s like Ivy League fits, which happen to have like very like wide kind of flared, but not like flare, not like 70s flare, more like flared like boot cut flare. I love a raw hem, and so I wanted to add my little spin on it, and I created this panel down the middle. This was also my first time patterning really and sewing really, really intently because I knew I wanted to keep these pants afterwards. They're made of this fabric that I got on Mood Fabrics, which yes, I know is firsthand fabric, but wow, it feels like really, really good. The jacket, this is the first jacket I've ever made. It looks a little bit rough on the inside. and it's not the most structurally sound, so I don't wear it, but I love it. I made it out of mud cloth, which is like an African textile, where they like, it's like a weave, it's like a woven kind of cotton, and they dye it, and that's why it has this kind of like, white and cream and like orangey color, and that's why it's kind of looking a little bit paneled. But it's a bunch of different strips, and it's a really beautiful fabric. I spent a pretty penny on it, but I wanted to make something that I was proud of, and I'm really proud of it. And I wanted to make my own back tab.
Like, you got a model. Yeah, exactly.